What up, beautiful souls in the human condition? I want to talk to you today about relief. How do you bring it, and how do you experience it? A lot of things we do in life is in pursuit of this relief, and technically it is in pursuit of peace. You're in pursuit of a type of peace, whether it is physical relief, mental relief, emotional relief. This is because you're naturally inclined to sense whenever you're chemically imbalanced in some way, or whenever you're emotionally imbalanced, or whenever you need to eat certain foods. You're already designed to be this way. So, if you already have this inside of you, then this is what you need to pay attention to. Everything we need is already built within us. It's already there. We just have to look inside to find it. And you say, oh, well, I just don't feel like myself today. And guess what? You're not yourself today. You're another self. And you need to pay attention to that self and see how that self responds to life. Because that self exists for a reason. And whenever you give rise to it, or it gives rise to itself within you, and you actually praise it and acknowledge it by saying, oh, I don't feel well, then you are acknowledging that this self that is presenting itself now does not feel well. I just want you to marinate on it. Understand what you're saying whenever you speak out of your mouth, the seeds in the form of words. Always think twice about what you say. Now, this is not what I would call an instructional video. This is giving video, where I share with you a true way to bring relief. The tension happens whenever we fight against those selves that we feel. And we basically do all the things that we think we need to do in order to arrive back at that self that we like. That self that seems like it has everything together. Well, sometimes we need to realize that that self diminishes, and we all of a sudden don't feel like ourselves, because that self that we do feel like on a regular basis has too much authority in our life. And we need to be a more humble self. Sometimes it comes in the form of you not feeling well. But you don't need to focus on what's not right about you. You just need to focus on how you're responding to what's happening to you. Because it's not really what happens to you, it's how you assimilate what happens to you. And so you bring yourself peace by paying attention to that situation and giving it its temporary satisfaction. And then you lovingly express to it that it has to go. And you need to pay more attention to how that self responds to positive life things. And there's no room for the negative feelings. And they have to be removed. Yeah. And you purposely, in your mind, say that it is removed. Yeah, that's what you do. and you believe it to be removed, and then you carry yourself as if it is removed. Yeah, and then it will be removed. Talking about bringing relief, you know, you can't bring relief to another until you bring relief to yourself. So that's what we talking about. The way you bring relief to yourself is by getting to know yourself and how many selves that there are residing within that vessel. Yeah, I said that. You know, it makes a lot of people uncomfortable. However, that's what it's supposed to do. It's supposed to make you uncomfortable because the self that you're trusting in the most is not the self that you need to trust in. The reason why I say this is because what you give attention to the most will master you. And there's no way to only know one of yourselves and still expect to be a holistic individual. There are not only selves that arise whenever you're in a negative circumstance. There are selves that arise whenever you're in a positive circumstance. How do you respond to life when you experience the good? What do? Is that the self that gets lazy and starts to overlook the little foxes that spoil the vine? Is that the self that gets selfish and forgets where they came from? You need to find out about that self. You need to find out the powers that that self uses. If that's a self that you want to continue, then you feed that self. And you give that self what it needs to survive. And I guess if it's a prideful self, then it would always need to power itself or to tower itself over others and to make others look small. Yeah, but if you want to give rise to that self, then that's your desire. I personally don't desire for a person to do that because it wouldn't be in their best interest. However, get to know every self. How do you know if it's a self that's arising? Well, for one, that self is a self that arises in response to something that has happened on the outside or that has happened in this 3D realm. Alright? It's basically a response to how the eyes have simulated the situation. So, choose to look at situations another way. Or look at situations the way you've been doing. But pay attention to your responses. This is how you get to know who is in you. Who you really are. Not the self that you feel whenever you're strong and you feel like you got it all together. That self is fine. It doesn't need the work. The self that needs the work are the inconsistent selves that you have running around inside of you whenever some shit hit the fan or whenever all shit is grand. Right? And even those selves in between that don't feel like dealing with people, or that self that feels like it embraces people. Alright? Find out more about that. Bring relief to yourself by getting to know yourself, not resisting yourselves whenever they rise on account of what you assimilate in this 3D realm. Come on, take charge of your life. Find out more holistically what your life entails. You can do this. You can't bring relief to the world until you bring relief to your world, to your universe. So let's get it done. Bring relief today to others by bringing relief to yourself. You got it. I'm gonna get at you. You already know. Be well in the name of wellness. Stand on the strength of realness. Yeah. Be faithful to the cause, and the cause will be faithful to you. Always think twice. So if you have to think another time, think as many times as you need to. because it's worth it.